Welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Beautiful day here in the Monterey Hills, and we welcome you, our fans of historic racing for SVRA. I'm Jonathan Green, and in a moment we'll go down to the grid and talk to Ben Sissel, who is going to walk us through some of the fantastic entries of our historic Trans Am. We're very privileged to have them in fine fettle, and these are original cars. They raced around this Laguna circuit back in the late 60s and early 70s, at the heyday, if you will, of the manufacturer entries. So there was factory entries all through the top marks. And we were talking earlier about Jim Farley of Ford. Well, back in the day, Ford were trying so hard to make sure that they beat the Corvettes and the AMC Javelins and the Camaros that were entered, and you'll see a good display of that kind of racing in a moment. As we look higher down on the, it's depleting now, of course, because day two, we've had the TA2 action yesterday. If you missed it, some great racing in TA2. So let's head down now to Ben Sissel, who's on the grid for our historic Trans Am. Ben, over to you.
Thank you, Jonathan. So happy to be here Sunday at the Trans Am Speed Fest at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. We've got so much Trans Am history, over 55 years of Trans Am history. We just saw some B sedans that could have been in the Trans Am series, but now we've got 30 cars that were in the Trans Am series from 1966 to 1972. Starting up here in the Peter Gregg Bud Moore, the school bus yellow Bud Moore engineering race car. That's Jim Haig right there. Look for Jim Haig to be up front. But I got to add some drama to this. The front six, front seven in this group, usually they'll kind of switch positions like 5 or 6 times. It's always some of the best racing we'll have over the weekend. Jim, I know that you've got to keep your competitor Ken Epsman in your mirrors. How are you going to keep him behind you?
Just go faster than he does.
Nice. Now see, if all drivers kept it that simple, just go faster than he does. You know, you should put that in a book or something. So Jim Haig is up here. Ken Epsman, Roy Woods, Javelin. So Ken, I got your buddy up there was roasting. I said, how are you going to keep Ken Epsman in your mirrors? And he goes, I just got to go faster than he does. So how are you going to get by him?
Well, I tell you, he's a good driver. He's tough to get by. He's fun to race with. Race real clean, but we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Nice. So Ken Epsman driving this beautiful Roy Woods Javelin, red, white, and blue. Hildebrandt right here in the Gray Ghost, guys. One of the most famous cars out here. Pontiac Tempest, a car that probably should never have been made into a road race car, but now here he is. Won the race by like a fender yesterday. How does it feel to be out here with historic Trans Am?
Fantastic. It's a great group. Just want to go out and have some fun and get the car back on the trailer in one piece.
Nice. See, now, if you know anything about vintage racing, the first victory of the weekend is to be able to pull the car back on the trailer under its own power. And that's the first goal of any driver out here with us. But also to keep people ahead and to keep people hitting that checkered flag earlier. Ken Adams right here in this beautiful Reventlow. I know I pointed it out yesterday, but look at this car. And look at this. This is something really cool. So with historic Trans Am, as we get a shot of Tommy Dreese coming by right here in that Vic Elford Chaparral Camaro. You know, it just wouldn't be Tommy Dreese if he didn't make a bunch of noise and come to grid late. Tommy Dreese, you had a great battle up here with the top 6. You're in the TA race today. You couldn't be in more opposite cars, but how are you going to take the checkered flag in this race?
Hey, you know what? We're going to go out there, have some fun. I mean, you've got history right here. You got the Javelin, you've got the, you got the Mustang, and you've got the Chaparral Camaro that I'm driving. So fortunate to be in this thing and have some fun with them. And, you know, we'll see how it plays out at the end. Yeah, just having fun. Just much love to everybody out there. Thank you, SVRA.
Nice. I love it. Tommy Dreese in such a historic car. Follow us on social media. We're going to post the Vic Elford win in 1970 with at Watkins Glen in this very car. And like I said, this very car, these cars were the actual cars set up exactly the way they were, and probably the biggest Trans Am fan in the world right here, Tony Perella. How's this feel to be on the grid with such fantastic cars?
What's bizarre is I saw these cars when they ran at Watkins Glen in 1969. A lot of these cars were there, and to see this, and it's more than 50 years ago, is really special. And you know, to go full circle as a fan, that set the hook for me for racing, was Trans Am, and now to be, you know, the owner of Trans Am with this group back, it's a thrill. It's a big deal.
So this was the start of your problem, huh?
Yeah, I guess you could say it that way. I mean, I've been passionate about American muscle cars all my life and been a big Corvette guy, but this seeing this time capsule preserved and these drivers, it's all about the cars with them. It's not about them. This group is really special, and that they know that they don't want these cars in the museum. They want them to be shown as they were, raced as they were, and these guys really do a good job, so it's
Nice.
cool.
I love it. David Penterick, come over here. We're talking to you. Put a mask on. Current Trans Am driver, David Penterick. It's got to be so cool to see your competitor, Tommy Dreese, in one of these cars, but just to see the history of your sport laid out in such a way.
You know, I just thinking of myself as I was taking videos for my own personal use. You know, it's hard not to be an enthusiast of both series, in modern Trans Am, but even the historic Trans Am. And as a guy that grew up, you know, I was born in '62. I was 10 years old back, and then, and to see these cars, it gives you goosebumps. This is history, and I'm just grateful that SVRA puts it together, and it's a great show. You can't miss it.
Why don't you join us in the announcer's booth and announce this race with me and Jonathan as a Trans Am driver? You want to do that? Yeah, third floor right there. Come join us. We might have David Penterick in the booth. It's all happening live right now. Now check out Parnelli Jones right here. This beautiful Bud Moore car. Bill, I believe this was the 1960. What you tell us?
This car won the championship, Trans Am championship in 1970, driven by Parnelli Jones. He raced all the races except the last two in this car, but he used it to qualify in every race because it was the fastest Bud Moore car they had at the time. So championship 70 car, Parnelli Jones championship car, really doesn't get any better.
Nice. And so I want to point out something with Bill Ockerland, because he's one of the organizers of this historic Trans Am. This car was just newly restored back to exactly how it raced. Bill and I had Parnelli Jones in his other car like this, and Parnelli Jones sat inside it, hadn't been in it in years, and said it was like a time machine, like a glove, set up exactly. The only thing he said, I remember right when he looked at it, he said you had the wrong tires on, because he was a Firestone guy, right? And now Bill's got the Goodyears on. But other than that, he's like, it's exactly as it was. And that's the rules of this, is the cars had to have raced in the Trans Am series from 66 to 72. They have to be set up exactly like they were. Same brakes, same engine, all the same setup. The only thing we allow is helmets and some safety things for the drivers. But if you look inside, Tony, if we can get some shots over here. Bill, do you mind if I open up your passenger door? Is it clipped? Remind me to put that pin back in. Oh, well, I might not be able to. But can you get shots of that, Tony? I did put your pin back, Bill, so don't worry about that. And look at his gauges there. Everything is just as it was. And we can look at pictures and we can look at film from these cars back in that era, and it will look just like it does now, just not in high definition video that we're getting down here with green light. So unbelievable. And then Tony, if you don't mind, I'm huffing you all around, but we're going to try to make it down to Tom McIntyre in the beautiful 68 championship winning car. But remember, look at all these beautiful cars as we walk down this grid. Unbelievable stuff. Forrest is giving me the thumbs up. Biddle, I'm loving it. So we just saw him out with us. Everybody is so excited to come out. So here is the other car I was talking about, Tony. I believe this is Jeff O'Neill driving the Parnelli Jones Bud Moore car. This is the car that Parnelli Jones got to do the pace lap in at Indianapolis with us. And so Parnelli got in this car a couple of years ago and says it's like getting into a time machine, set up exactly as it was. And I know that's so important to you guys with this historic Trans Am. How does it feel to be a steward and preserve this heritage?
Well, it is amazing. I mean, you get in these cars, it gives you goosebumps. because, you know, you knew these legendary drivers who've driven these cars. So we are simply caretakers trying to help preserve the car and then show the spectators how they really drove them in the day. So it's really just, it's such a historic privilege to be a part of the whole HTA group, for that matter.
Nice. I love it. Couldn't have said it better. Jeff O'Neill in this beautiful car. And if you were paying attention in TA2 this year at Sebring, Ike Keeler, who sometimes drives a Cougar in this group, drove a TA2 liveried car to be the sister car to this car. So that was a really cool experience. We've got Carmen Cusack here in the Bill Meyer Mustang. Carmen, you were kind of disappointed with some of your times earlier on in the week. How are you going to move yourself up in this group?
Well, it's going to be a tough road. We've got some great drivers here. It's just a wonderful group, and we'll do our best to keep everybody safe and stay out of trouble.
Nice. Stay out of trouble. That's the name of the game. But there's going to be some hard racing up front. And I know Carmen wants to be up there mixing it up with these guys. I love this Firebird. It really stands out. It's so much fun. Steve Link always brings this car out. We were talking about it yesterday. Beautiful car. He also likes to race with us in the B Sedan series. But he always brings out some really well-prepared cars. Lots of fun. Right here, the Slime Green Sam Posey Dodge Challenger. And it's... Somebody asked me if the Slime Green is an insult. I think that's kind of a badge of honor, don't you?
Absolutely a badge of honor. I'm proud to drive this car.
And now Sam Posey has been in this car, I think with you at Lime Rock a few years ago. What did he say about the car?
Well, you see the stripes on the side, the RT stripes, he designed himself, and the factory picked them up. And the big numbers on the side was because he didn't initially like the color, but he came to know it and like it after it was the car that he was most associated with in his career. So,
you know, and that seems to happen. Sometimes what people consider ugly cars, once they start winning, they become beautiful cars. And, you know, that has, so he said he kind of designed these stripes and then kind of fell in love with it. I love it. So that's Richard Goldsmith, the caretaker of the Sam Posey Classic Wax Dodge Challenger RT. Just some unbelievable history in here. And I love all the schemes, the stripes just set up. And just like Trans Am today, like in our TA2 field, we've got kind of the big teams, the factory teams, and then there was also a field of privateers that could race anywhere they wanted to as long as they had an SCCA license or were enrolled in Trans Am. So it's in just like, you know, what made famous the Pony Wars. So we've got Camaro, Mustang, Challenger, just like we saw, AMC Javelin, the Pontiac Firebirds. Those were the pony cars back in the day, and the whole phrase of win on Sunday, sell on Monday, that's all happening right here. Because look, there's Jack Douglas Chevrolet, Hinsdale, Illinois. That's an unbelievable car, and that Camaro right there. Then you've got the red, white, and blue All-America. Check out his helmet. So much fun. That's the, oh, it's fine, yeah. You got to look at Captain America over here, Tony. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. I'm just trying to make my way down to this number 6 Camaro, so stay tuned. But check out his helmet. And then we'll come over here. This is Richard's son driving the Rusty Jowett Camaro. Tony, I know I'm moving too fast for you, buddy, but I don't want to miss this. Do you guys mind if we slip in here real quick? I want to show you something kind of neat that I learned about Michael Eisenberg's Falcon, where he usually drives with his headlights on. But Michael told me at Circuit of the Americas that the owner of this car, John Walker, would drive his family to the races. You could see the interior. And then he was optimistic enough thinking, I'm going to finish the race and be able to drive it home. So look at this thing. It looks like a show car, the actual dash. So that's Michael Eisenberg with the family sedan that's a race car. That's unbelievable. This Hillsdale Dodge, I'm in love with this whole grid of the historic Trans Am group, and it's about to be some of the best racing we're going to see. Tony Hart, is this Tony Hart in this car? Driving this beautiful. Look at these stripes. Unbelievable. Sometimes hand-painted. Look at that, just like they were back in the day. But then the crown jewel, in my opinion, in all of this, the 1968 Penske Camaro Mark Donahue car. This is kind of the car that really elevated Roger Penske and Mark Donohue, made them the geniuses that they are. This is the 68 winning. I believe Tom McIntyre is behind the wheel. 10 out of 11 victories, right? Correct. He started in 11 races in 1968, won 10 out of 11. Tom, you've gone through such painstaking efforts to get this car right. Get a good shot of this dashboard here, Tony, because it's unbelievable. If we looked at photos of this car, you would think, back in the day, you'd think we're looking at current photos because Tom has gone through so much effort. Why is that so important to you, Tom?
Well, the history of this car was made long before me. And, you know, to preserve it the way that it was originally raced and originally owned is extremely important for the race fans to be able to see it racing as it was in the day. And I'm very excited about that. And let's let them see exactly what they would have seen then.
Nice. And get a shot. Look, he's still got the door cards in from the GM factory. It's unbelievable, and it's so important to these drivers to be good stewards of these cars. And I was talking to Tom earlier. He wants these cars to outlast all of us here and be just as they were. So this is the historic Trans Am grid about ready to roll out at the Trans Am Speed Fest at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. I work for the current Trans Am series presented by Pirelli, but this is by far my favorite race group. So, Jonathan, I'm going to hustle up there with you and announce this unbelievable race.
Ben, you're an absolute gem. We are delighted to have you on board. What a wonderful grid walk. What a wonderful lot of information about this fantastic historic Trans Am series. Thank you, Ben Sissel. A brilliant, brilliant job of getting us an insight into these wonderful cars. And you did hoodwink and swashbuckle Mr. David Pantarik up to the commentary booth because he's here and has joined me. He'll be racing later today in TA. But as you said, let's just reiterate how special this grid is for you personally.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jonathan, and thanks for Ben for the invitation. I was walking through when Ben was interviewing and do the grid walk, and it just, you can't help but be an enthusiast and be enthusiastic about that grid. You know, anybody that likes cars loves Trans Am, and you walk through and see those cars and in all their glory. And quite honestly, we're lucky that we have the ability to enjoy these cars appropriately. It's a working museum, and I got to thank SVRA and Tony Pirello and his group for making it happen for all of us.
Well, it's not just giving you goosebumps, because this will interest you. There are 27 different countries tuning in as we speak. So you are talking to the converted today.
Preaching to the choir.
Yes, you are. I love that. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to. You've been racing that Cadillac for a while, for the last few years, and you're up on the grid again. You'll be out in action. How's the track, first and foremost? Is it running well?
Well, first, I love this track. You know, I'm a Midwest guy, so going out to California is a little bit of a culture shock. But this is just a spectacular area and even a better racetrack. I want to correct you, though. We're in a Mustang. We've got a new car.
Excuse me. Yes,
well,
of course
okay.
you are.
We were.
I'm so used to you wearing that, wearing the Stars and Stripes. CTS, yeah.
And I'm very proud to be the only person that's won a Trans Am race in a Cadillac.
At Daytona?
At Daytona, one of my finer racing moments. But we've been working with Riley Technologies to build a new car that should be debuting at the Mid-Ohio Trans Am race. We're looking forward to that. And even that is an exercise in history, because Bob Riley, the father, who's 90 years old, has such a history in motorsports. With part of the GT40 program for Ford, and worked for CarCraft and built the Boss 429 Mustangs, and was involved with AJ Foyt with his Coyote Indy cars. So yeah, we're having a good time. I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be able to do this.
Yeah, and Ben joins us back in the booth, and I'll give him the information we just picked up. Ben, we are going live to 27 different countries right now, so the fandom of these HTAs is alive and well. The passion is worldwide, not just here in America.
Definitely. As we look at Andrew Alcatzer, and the cool thing about these is these owners, the stewards of these cars, they call them stewards because they want to pass them on to the next generation just as they are now. But that was Andrew Alcatzer out there. He was with us in a GT350, but they're having just as much fun as we are, the fans. This is by far our fan favorite group, but I got to brag on my buddy Penteric here, because I was following along when he won the SCCA National Championship at Indianapolis. That had to feel pretty special as well.
Well, you know, it's just one of those goosebump moments in life, and I to tell you a story. I got out of that car and Sports Car Magazine captured my outstretched arm as I celebrated the victory, and the little backstory of it, I actually was falling backwards because I wasn't balanced quite right. But when I won at Daytona in '18, I reprised that a moment, and Tony Perella came up and he goes, you know, I've never seen anybody as excited to win a race. And I go, Tony, you know, here's the thing, it's a lot of work to do this, and you want to celebrate, but it's also not doing it would be disrespectful to the people that you raced against and beat, the people who put it on, and the people that are watching it. This is a big deal.
And your crew. They're so excited for you. There's tears in their eyes when you guys win.
Yeah, my crew chief, who I've been working with since 2003, his uncle came down, and it was the first time he saw his nephew at what he does. And so, you know, we win that first pro race, and he was crying, and they memorialized a lot of it in pictures. And one of the guys is a gopher for us in the Florida races. His dad was the videographer for the Miami Dolphins, and he took pictures too. And he was so grateful that his son got a chance to put up the #1 finger in the winner's circle at Daytona. It's you know, you don't do this just for yourself. You do it for the people involved.
And look at this field. It looks like we have 28 historic Trans Am cars, like I said, on the grid. They had to have raced. They have to have provenance. The VIN number has to match the logbooks. They had to have raced in the Trans Am series from 66 to 72. And the Trans Am series, like all race series, has these ebbs and flows. So there's 3 or 4 heydays of the Trans Am series that I would consider in its history of over 55 years. And I really feel like we're on the next wave, of the next big wave of Trans Am, with our great TA races that you're involved with, and then the TA2 field growing so much, the West Coast series, the National series. But as somebody that races in Trans Am, do you love looking at the heritage like this still celebrated?
Well, you know, yes, very much so. The short answer, very much so. The long answer is I'm very, very appreciative of the people and the efforts that came before me, whether it be in my profession, my family, or now, you know, the hobby and sport that I love. And you know, we were here in 2018, and we had all these cars out on the front straight for a big picture. And again, goosebumps and tears to be part of that. You know, it's an honor to be part of this this series.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And these drivers here, they want me to celebrate the history. They've asked several times, hey, do you mind saying, instead of my name driving this, Ken Epsman in that beautiful Javelin there, he says, don't worry about me. Call it the Roy Woods Javelin, driven by Ken Epsman.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to mention me, don't worry about it. But I want to mention these guys and women because they're putting so much effort. You know how much effort, how much work, discipline, and resources it takes to race. But then to go out of your way and actually make the cars perform a little bit slower because they're having to set up as they were back then. Technology's changed with some of the safety features, roller rockers, things like that. But these cars, terrible brakes, way too much horsepower, not the roll cages you'd really want in race cars, and they're out there racing them just as they were so that we get a little glimpse of a time machine. I feel like these are gladiators in the motorsports world.
That's a fair point. Very point. Good point.
So,
what a wonderful sound, guys.
Let's put you guys on the spot. Penteric, which one would you like to race? Which one of these cars?
That blue Firebird out there, that blue Firebird Trans Am. My first race car was a dragster. I was NHRA Super Stock K, and it was a '75 Formula Firebird blue. And so when I saw that Trans Am, it's, you know, Gen 2 Trans Am, and it's like, oh man, just a beautiful, beautiful car. But and then there's I think a red Mustang in there, number 57, that it's got my numbers. So how appropriate, Mustang to Mustang.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
I think any of these cars, though, you'd have to be honored to sit in the seat, let alone put it out on the track.
Now there is a Camaro out there that I would see you driving because it has that American flag livery. So
there
I
you
thought,
go.
you know, I've only known you driving American flags.
So I've had 7 cars that have something similar to that. And those were all inspired by the Greenwood Corvettes and the Greenwood Camaro. And I become friends with John's brother through Facebook. And I told him, I says, you know, it's an honor again, going back to the people that came before us, to be associated with them. And my first Trans Am car had that livery similar to it, and now it's, you know, I can't do anything but that.
Yeah, I love it. Now, something I would like us to learn from this, the current Trans Am series, I go to their drivers' meetings sometimes, and they're very adamant about the start because it's all about the show. So they want everybody to be lined up so tight, 2 by 2, that when they take the green flag, everybody hits the gas at the same time, and the roar is phenomenal. We're going to hear it. We're going to feel it shake up here. But they do such a good job of getting in a tight, packed field. It makes for a good show for me.
I picked my car.
Which one?
It's got to be the #1 Camaro for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons, actually. 1, because it's Vic Elford's car. 2, Brian Redman, my uncle, is doing a GoFundMe for Vic Elford, and I'll tell you more about that later. And 3, if I drove that car, Tommy Dreese would be the most nervous man in Christendom. And well, he should be, because it is his baby.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You know, it's cool to see your competitor
to
out
keep
there,
Tommy quiet.
You know, I made a comment before you grabbed me. I says, when I grow up, I want to be Tommy Dreese.
It's a good line.
You guys had one of the best races at Sebring. I can't remember if it was 16 or 17, back and forth. That was so much fun.
When do you think Tommy's going to grow up?
I don't think he ever will, and thank God for that, because why should we grow up? You know, I really admire Tommy. You know, he's got so much enthusiasm for life in general, but also, you know, he's respectful of the sport. And, you know, just seeing what he does with that Camaro and all that stuff. And, you know, we all like to compete. We all like to beat our head over the, you know, each other with a head on the racetrack and all stuff, but we're friends. And you have to sit back and say, you know, there's a lot I like about this person, you know, whether it be Ernie or Chris or you know, Boris said, I put a exclamation mark in between Boris and said sometimes out of affection and respect. But, you know, Tommy's just great. You know, he's just a great person.
So much so I can't even remember which one of you won, because both of you were so happy to get out of the car.
Well, I finished 3rd, he finished 2nd, and the old man of the series, geez, I can see his face, I can't think of his name around, in the Mustang won, and
Evan.
Cliff Evan,
yeah.
Sorry, Cliff. You know, that was just a great event, and, you know, me and Tommy were sharing thoughts afterwards about how he goes, you could have taken out many time ago. It's not the way we race.
Now look at how tightly packed they are, and hopefully they get a late green so that they can all be on the front stretch, because it makes for, it looks like they're doing another pace lap. Oh, no. All right. Well,
that's all right. We can talk about some of the other cars. Now, we did see these guys in action, and it was the Pontiac, the grey Pontiac, the silver ghost, as you call it, that won yesterday. Really impressive. What a beautiful sound. Let's just let's just take this sound in for a second. There is that number 49.
You know, Jonathan, you bring up a good point, and something that concerns me about the future of our sport is the sound. It's such a visceral. Is that the word I want to use? But you know, we muffle it too much, or we go to electric vehicles. Are we losing some of the attraction to the sport?
Well, you know what I think, and this is my hope anyway. We used to ride horses to work.
Yep.
And now we race them.
Yep.
And I honestly feel that the day of motor racing, combustion racing, will never go away, for the simple reason that the passion is there. It is history. It does stop you in your tracks. E-racing is going to be part of our culture soon. It may not be what we like, but I do feel that this kind of racing, and especially Trans Am, where it just grabs you, literally, will never go away, because it doesn't need to, because even now, these cars are 50 years old and people still want to race them.
You know, you bring up a good point. We just had the Kentucky Derby over the weekend, and it's still a very highly celebrated event. And, you know, when you bring up the Trans Am, you know, the beautiful thing about a Trans Am car is it's all driver. And it's loud, it's hot, it's aggressive. There's no electronic gizmos in it. It's real racing, and
You know, Ben, you brought up about the gladiators of these guys drove back in the 60s and 70s. You know, we've got a lot of safety equipment in the newer cars and all that stuff. And I look at what those guys had to do to survive a race, man. Those were real men and women. You know, you had to really admire them.
Well, guys, just squint your eyes. Imagine you're in black and white. It's 1969. We've been to the moon. We've had Woodstock. The Beatles at the height of their game doing Abbey Road. The Rolling Stones are going around the world. And it's 1969. And Laguna Seca has welcomed this field. The likes of Mark Donohue and Vic Elford and et al.
Yeah. And your friend Simon Gregg's dad's car
exactly.
in first place right now.
I love it.
Out there racing. How cool is that?
You know, when I first met Simon, I didn't know that was his dad. I, put two and two together. I asked a question, and he said, yeah. And just before I met him, I had a mural. When I won the runoffs in 2010, we had a mural of a takeoff of the last call at Siebken's on my basement. And Simon's dad, Peter Gregg, is one of the people that's on there. So I said, hey, your dad's on my basement wall. He thought that was kind of an unusual statement, but we ended up becoming Facebook friends initially, and then he saw the pictures and all that stuff.
Well, here we go, but folks, David Pintarik,
look at
Ben
that
Sissel,
tight group,
and myself.
That's how you do it, people.
There you go. They've got it right. They've been listening at your meetings. Here we go then. HTA, the historic Trans Am here. Let's roll back the years and enjoy the sights and sounds of Trans Am racing.
Listen to that roar. I love it.
Absolutely splendiferous. And away they go, down towards Andretti for the first time. Nice and clean 2x2. And we had a cracking race yesterday, and it built and built and built to a final crescendo on the last lap. Tommy Dreese involved in that, and he's involved again already, passing the Pontiac early on.
There's Sam Posey mixing it up right there in that slime green Challenger. I'm loving it.
And into turn 4. And already starting to spread out quite quickly.
Peter Gregg, followed by Roy Woods, followed by Vic Elford. Can't get any better than that in a field at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Look at these cars. They're drifting out on bias ply tires. So much fun to watch. They're just so much to handle because these cars, like I said, they're running on no later than 72 technologies. So the brake pads are just screaming. This is
Look at Tommy go.
Yeah,
Tommy up to second place already as they head up the hill for the corkscrew for the first time. I've got a feeling Tommy wants to win this. I said to him, will you try to get on the podium? Because this is my pride and joy. I own this car. It's not like my TA car where I can throw it around and Burton Racing will give me the bill. This is my car. I don't want to hurt it.
That's beautiful. That second Mustang Boss 302 is the Parnelli Jones.
Oh, and he's going for it.
Car. Yeah,
look at this. And into the lead goes the #1 Camaro. And Vic Elford. He said he was going to do it for Vic, and I think he is.
How's that feel, Pintarik? See your compatriot out there taking the lead in HTA.
I'm pulling for him. I'll gladly let him win this race if he finished dead last in our next one.
Well, wonderful racing, and back it comes at Andretti. Haig on the inside of the Camaro and takes back the lead at Andretti.
So Tommy Dreese racing against Simon Gregg's dad. That's kind of neat to see. This is beautiful. Ford versus Chevy. The pony car wars kind of started right here in the Trans Am Series in '66. And it is alive and well in the Trans Am Series in 2021.
Yeah, and I got a close look at that Camaro of Tommy Dreese's, and a look inside it, and also to hear it as well as it breathed into life, and it sounds so awesome, absolutely glorious.
Who looks at a Pontiac Tempest and says, you know what, I think I'm going to
race
race that car, and it makes it the Gray Ghost. It's just
Herb
so
Adams.
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we had, like I said, we had a cracking race yesterday, and I think we're on for another one today. Not a long race, still just 13 minutes to go as they come up the Rahal Straight. Look at that shot, folks. From the drone, what a wonderful vision of
Look at the Pontiac.
Laguna Seca. And yeah, here
looking
it comes.
Inside.
Tight as you like. And very, very good racing.
Beautiful car.
As we go back with the #2, Ken Epsman in the AMC Javelin. And Tommy was giving me the story about how Effectively, Penske moved to AMC Javelin in 1969 and was hoping that the Camaros wouldn't get up to pace with Jim Hall, but they did. And it turned out to be a really good racing season. But such was the competitiveness of both the AMC Javelins and the Camaros and the Pontiac, as you mentioned.
So it's Chevrolet, Ford, Pontiac, Ford, AMC, Ford. And this, I don't know the driver, and I really should, but the driver of that car, owner originally, was, I think, the first, if not one of the first African Americans in the Trans Am Series, and he wrote songs like "I'll Be There" for the Jackson 5. How cool is that? And now
that is cool.
This owner's out there racing that Shelby out there with the black hood. Very cool. And running up front with the fast ones.
You know what? What I notice about these guys is those cars are sliding around. They are
yes,
not.
They are.
They are not parade laps out there.
No, no. And here comes Tommy again,
yeah.
into the left-hander and into the lead again. But here comes the Pontiac as well. We've got a cracking race on our hands.
Yeah, there goes Parnelli Jones by Roy Woods. That's Bill Ockerland over Ken Epsman. This is some great racing. I love the lines of that Javelin. I'm looking for a David Penterick livery to match that someday.
So 12 minutes to go here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, as we roll back the years for these classic, historic Trans Am cars. An absolute sight and sound that is just irreplaceable. You can have your museums and you can have your art galleries and your books, but we do it for real, and we don't just roll back the years, we actually go racing.
And I wish you guys could see us right now. We're sitting here with a national champion, longtime Trans Am racer, the smile on his face as he's watching it. And I think I saw him reach for the brake pedal once, too, but he's just having a blast up here with us.
Well, again, it's an honor. It's fun, yes, but it's more of an honor to be part of this show and to put my name in the record books.
Yep.
So that's James Biddle. James won the race with us at Sonoma just last weekend in the Sunday race. He had some transmission problems, and he's back here again, passing the Roy Woods Javelin, driven by Ken Epsman. Craig Conley in that number 25. I hope you can see that car in real life, not on TV. The green is like a green that I've never seen.
Yeah,
it's really pretty.
It's very pretty, and you're right. It's a distinctive but very unusual green.
And I really like the lines on that era, that Boss 302 with that stripe coming down. It's just so pretty. Uh-oh. There's the leads.
And it's still
there
going.
Peter Gregg.
Four cars involved.
They're teammates. Simon Gregg and Tommy Dreese are teammates. And it looks like they're working as teammates up there right now.
Yeah, they said they were looking forward to this, and they are enjoying the heck out of it, for sure.
There's Carmen Cusack in that blue coupe. Steve Link ahead in that Camaro. Beautiful Camaro there, BJ Racing, number 72. Steve Link also likes to race with us in kind of Trans Am prepared B sedan cars. And then that's Ken Adams there in that Reventlow Petty Racing Maroon Boss. Some beautiful cars out there. Followed by Jeff O'Neill in that Parnelli Jones Bugmore Engineering.
Yeah, he's been a busy man this weekend.
Yeah, you don't associate in Trans Am the red and black as much as you do the school bus colors. That car, I think it raced very briefly in the Trans Am Series. I think it was wrecked really badly at St. Jovite. Just got word from race control that one of the cars is smoking. Not sure which.
Well, let's hope it's not anything too serious, because we don't want any harm to come to these originals. And crossing the line again to complete another lap, Jim Haig leading the way from Tommy Dreese. John Hildebrand in fourth position.
So that's Carmen Cusack driving the Bill Meyer Mustang Coupe, followed by Sam Posey in that beautiful Dodge Challenger. Joe Stevens had a tribute TA2 car to that he raced with us, running the number 11 in that livery at Sebring a couple years ago. That was a beautiful car. It's neat to see the modern Trans Am series pay tributes to some of the heritage of Trans Am. 2 weekends ago, Scott Borchetta's NASCAR car ran the Dan Gurney livery from the Trans Am series. I thought that was really neat with Jade Buford at.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
I bet Buford enjoyed that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that. Is that a Firebird or Trans Am, David?
It's a Trans Am.
Trans Am. That's a beautiful car.
If I remember correctly, Pontiac had they didn't have a small motor. The smallest motor they had in the Firebirds was a 350, which was a 305 was the 5-liter limit. So they had to do some finagling to get a 303, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of people don't know this. When I tell them that I'm going to a Trans Am race, they think like the Pontiac. And I'm like, no. Pontiac paid royalties to the Trans Am series back in the day to be able to name their car the Pontiac Trans Am.
Was it $25 a car?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had to pay the SCCA to name their car after the race series.
That I didn't know.
I think that was one of the largest line items on SCCA's balance sheet.
I'll bet.
Yeah, it was big. I have the same struggle when I tell people I'm in the Trans Am series. They go, "You drive a Firebird." I go, no.
And look at this battle up front. 4 cars, as it should be. So much fun to watch.
And Dreesy and Haig are just swapping places lap by lap. And as you say, a 4-car battle. 7 minutes to go. We've got at least 2 more laps of great racing here. Dreesy now second, having led early on.
Jonathan, you've got, in the top 4, you've got 3 different manufacturers represented.
I know.
See, look at that. I love it. And it's not uncommon to see that in the current Trans Am series, which I love.
No, but if you think about it also, you've got the beginning of this series in the Pontiac and the second place Mustang, the third place Mustang, and then you've got the tail end of the later part of it with the Camaro and the orange Mustang.
Yeah.
That's the older of them.
Yeah. And this weekend, we're at the Trans Am Speed Fest at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, a celebration of everything Trans Am. We have the modern Trans Am series, the big boys.
Coming
up.
The
TA cars are coming up later on this afternoon. 850 horsepower plus horsepower behemoths. But then we have the very early stages of Trans Am that you're watching here, but then we also have the 70s B sedans. We've got Wally Dallenbach Jr.'s championship-winning Trans Am car here racing with us this weekend. So it's just Trans Am history all over the paddock. That's James Biddle coming up over that turn 11. Look at that.
Good racing. Look at this. Side by side.
Boss 302s. That should be Bill Aukerland there. There's Steve Link coming around in that Camaro. Look at this side by side, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff O'Neill and Ken Adams. Jeff O'Neill in that Parnelli Jones Bud Moore car. And then there's Richard Goldsmith and the Sam Posey flying green car. This is a beautiful sight right here.
So everybody coming across the line one more time. 5 minutes to go now.
There's your car, David Penterick. That Camaro right there with the USA livery. That's what I see you in. And then that Hillsdale Dodge, that Mopar back there. Look at how big. It almost looks like a gasser drag racer. The front end is up so high. Beautiful. That's the Rusty Jowett red Camaro there. And notice the number is the Chevrolet bow tie on this white Camaro. See that 67? And see, it's the bow tie. It's in the bow tie. I've always liked that.
Oh, yeah, good point.
That's Jerry Clark and that Chevrolet Camaro. And here they come over the hill.
Dreesy's got the lead again.
Yeah, he does. Dreesy over the Peter Gray car, driven by Jim Haig. And then Ken Epsman follows this trail of the top 5. Man, the top 5 are really going at it at this historic Trans Am race. What are you seeing, Penterick? Tell us from a driver. What are you seeing? What does Tommy need to do to win this race?
Well, I think he just got to keep his pace now. Tommy's an exceptional driver. No disrespect to the other ones. I don't know their backgrounds, but we know Tommy can drive. I do notice that Javelin's come back. He was falling back a while, and he's gotten really strong. The guys' lines are good, and like I say, we're seeing them slide around. These are not parade laps. These guys are going at it.
Yeah, they really are.
And I'll tell you, I posted a video of in-car from that Roy Woods Javelin there, and Ken Epsman, the driver, he's got his arm up on the window, and he's driving with one hand like he's going to the grocery store. He's so relaxed behind the car, and it's almost like a lesson in how to drive a how to drive a big car smoothly with the LL sign out. So they're on their last lap, and right now,
all right, here we
your
go.
buddy Tommy Dreese has the lead, but barely.
Come on, Tommy, get it. Well, look at that Mustang come.
Here he comes. Haig looking for an inside move at the left-hander.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, great move, and Dreese has to give in.
Good stuff. But I'm loving it. Tommy's coming right back.
Here he comes.
Here comes the
This is amazing.
Oh, Tommy. Dreese takes the lead.
Can he keep his momentum through this turn? This is important. Jim Haig is a really talented driver in that yellow car. He's going to be really tough.
Side by side up towards the corkscrew. Haig gets the lead again. Dreese slots into second. Down the corkscrew they come for the last time.
Mark, good job, good job.
And I think Dreese may just give it in, but you never know.
Oh, no, you never know in HTA. Some of the closest finishes we've captured are in this group here, and it's so much fun to watch. My heart rate is a little high right now, gentlemen.
Into 10 they come, the last but one turn. If Tommy's going to do it, he's going to have to dive bomb, and he's doing just that. Tommy Dreese takes the lead.
I just reached for the brake pedal.
Oh, and that Camaro that he owns, it's so precious to him, and now he's going to take victory for the Vic Alford car. He said he wanted to do it. He said that Vic Alford was riding with him, and he's done it.
All right, Tommy.
Tommy, congratulations. Guys, I got to go run to the podium. Panteric, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me,
Thank
man.
you so much, David.
How does that feel to see your buddy win that race?
It brings tears to my joy, to my eyes.
Guys, do you want to know the margin? 0.092.
Amazing.
And David, it really has brought tears to your eyes, and well it should. Tommy Dreese wins from Jim Haig on what has been a phenomenal display of racing of these beautiful historic Trans Am cars. Tommy Dreese wins from Jim Haig. John Hildebrand takes third place, and Ken Epsman. But like you say, that one is definitely for Vic, and he's recovering from a serious illness. And I think that might have just brought a smile to that 85-year-old's face as well to see that, if he's tuning in, and well, he should be. David, your thoughts on seeing that spectacle?
Well, again, from this perspective, it's just a new experience for me. And again, you're down on the ground floor and seeing all these cars, and you're up here on the third floor of any track and see this just living history.
Yeah, it is. It really, truly is.
And I just wish other people could see this. Tune in. Watch live streaming, come to these events. It's life-changing.
So Tommy Dreese waving to the marshals. Let's take a look at what has been a fantastic historic Trans Am race. Started off 2x2, and the all-orange Jim Haig Ford Mustang leading the way. But then, as the time went down, Tommy, in the #1 Camaro, started to make his move. It is in his collection, but a collector of motor racing cars wants to go racing, and Tommy is a perfect example. The 49 won yesterday, but today Jim Haig led for most of the race, but then came Tommy Dreese in that #1 Camaro. He said to me yesterday, I'm going to race it for Vic, and I'm going to try to get as best a result as I can, and look how close it was. The margin, just 0.092, but the Camaro #1 wins.
Oh, good.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you coming in, and we'll let you get ready for your race.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Now go and do the same.
I'm going to give it a shot.
All right, good luck. Thank you, David. Confirmation of the results then. Tommy Dreese with the win in the Chevrolet Camaro #1. Jim Haig in the Ford Boss 302. John Hildebrand in the Pontiac Tempest, and the Shelby Mustang of Patrick Byrne in 4th. Ken Epsman and the AMC Javelin in 5th place. Forrest Strait 6th. And then James Biddle, Bill Auckland, Craig Conley, and Steve Link rounding out your top 10. We'll take a short break here from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and we'll be back with more SVRA action in a moment.